Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor pregame podcast where we're going to sit here and talk about Oklahoma, Texas. This podcast is powered by Olipop.
Oklahoma, Tulsa, by the way. Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah.
We don't get that for another month.
Did I say Oklahoma, Texas?
You said
like, man, am I on the
Texas.
wrong? I was like, man, I got to get
Bro,
to Dallas.
I'm
He's
like,
got Danny
I'm like,
Okoye on the brain.
yeah, that
Cracking
that is
Olipop,
like,
my friend.
yeah, no doubt. Oklahoma, Tulsa. There you go. Yeah, like that shows you where I'm like skipping ahead to everything. Not only that, I have to get credentialed now for Chisholm because I had to make a few phone calls last night after we got off our YouTube live and made sure that he was going to actually be at the game. Like if I'm going to go up there, his ass better be there. So that's a long drive, bro. I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No,
Not
but
bad.
I mean, when you're coming back and then going to Tulsa the next day, it gets kind of, it gets a lot, especially when you're end up getting home like at, you know what I mean? Like at 1:00 in the morning. So, yeah, Oklahoma, Tulsa podcast is powered by Olipop. Go to Target, Whole Foods, go to Sprouts, Walmart, or go to drinkolipop.com and go type in the promo code OU, or what is it? It's a
Champu20.
Champu20, excuse me. I almost said the promo code for OU Insider there for a second. It shows you where my head is at everywhere today. It's not here. Champu20 to get 20% off. Olipop.
Listen, Brandon, you can't get caught looking past Tulsa.
I know,
Can't
man.
do it.
He can do it.
So-
Kevin Wilson going to take care of business. All right. So I was looking at Tulsa's stuff just a second ago, and they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff in the home opener on August 31st, 42-7. Then they traveled to Washington. And from just what I'm looking at here and trying to check out player stats, Michael Penix Jr. was 28 for 38 for 409 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did throw an interception. I think the one thing I gleaned from just the player stats alone in that game is that, or even team stats, is that Tulsa did not give up a ton of rushing yards. And I don't know how many attempts Washington had, guys. And Travis Davidson is going to be with us all season long for pregame podcasts. Travis, question. You live in Tulsa. What is, and you obviously pay attention to that program. You were at the Arkansas Pine Bluff game, if I remember correctly. What is their strength defensively, in your opinion, and what is it that Oklahoma needs to do to attack their defense? It looks like their pass defense. I don't know what Arkansas Pine Bluff's pass looks like team stat wise. Yeah, it doesn't look like they gave up 150 yards passing to Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, what is their weakness? What's their strength? What have you noticed in paying attention to your hometown university?
I would say they're not, I use this, I believe, with Arkansas State when I said they may not have strengths. They just have parts that are less weak, I imagine. So they are less weak with the run defense. They did still give up 5 yards a carry to Washington, but 5 yards a carry against a team that's supremely talented in comparison to them is still not all that bad, right? It's kind of what you've seen from Oklahoma, and Oklahoma really between that 4 and 5, even SMU the week before against La Tech was at like 5.2. Like it's all in there somewhere. So it's not like they're getting gashed in the run game like you might expect. when there's that much of a talent discrepancy. But yeah, should be able to throw all over this team. They're not quite there yet, just as a full team, right? Kevin Wilson came in. I think that was a great get for Tulsa. I know a lot of people around Tulsa were almost surprised that they were able to pull, such an experienced guy, especially from a program like Ohio State, that from all reports, Ohio State did want him back. So, and we've seen how their offenses looked this year without him. But obviously a very decorated offensive mind, former offensive lineman. So a lot of their early success is probably going to be due to the offensive side of the ball, right? Kevin Wilson getting his line set, his skill position players. They've got some intriguing quarterbacks. The defense just simply, they're just not there yet, especially on the back end. I would say we'll probably see something like we saw against like an Arkansas State or something like that, where they might sell out on the run and just bring safeties down and say, hey, you guys are going to have to throw on islands against us. But if it's like the Arkansas State game, they will throw on islands. I think they're going to probably just load up against the run. And that's something we saw against Washington. Michael Penix Jr. over 400 yards passing. I mean, that's pretty brutal. And Penix Jr., I mean, he's probably a top 5 quarterback in the country. I mean, in my opinion. So, he's going to dot up a lot of people this year. But over 400 yards passing, like you said, and only giving up 5 yards rushing per play to a Washington team that's, again, much more talented than them. They were at home. Yeah, I think the passing game, if Levy allows it, will have a lot of success this week.
So another thing I want to ask here is how many, I'm trying to look it up here. How many rush attempts did they try?
Washington had 22 rush attempts. So didn't try and rush the ball that much. I think Tulsa had 40. But yeah, didn't try and run the ball that much. Like I said, I think they just saw, hey, if Tulsa's going to bring people down, then we're just going to try and go over the top of them. And Michael Penix Jr. is, again, one of the best in the country, and he obliged.
Yeah, so I think the next question that comes to mind for Oklahoma fans, if they're even paying attention to this game a whole lot, which it's been a weird week, guys. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of the Levy stuff, Parker, are you hiding behind a microphone? No, I'm kidding. A lot of the people, for real, like nobody in our industry, I think, to just put a stamp on this thing, because I know some people are going to be like, why don't you talk about Levy, getting up and doing all that and giving his statement? Like, I'm going to give you all my perspective of this because I've kept my mouth shut for a whole week now, and I'm going to just lay it out there straight. Parker knows this because Brian told us on the field, like, hey, look, there's Art Briles, right? Like, pointed it out. And Parker, you had already known because you had saw him earlier. My instant reaction was, I don't care. And I know that's probably not what some people want to hear. And it's not because I don't think what happened at Baylor mattered. Because it's disgusting. Horrible. Disgusting. I mean, I'm about to have a daughter, for crying out loud, like that. It makes me sick to my stomach. But I think it was because I was busy doing other things. Number one, of taking photos of other things for us to have for the front page. I think I went and did Ethan Downs, a big group of OU linebacking group, in case we needed a linebacker story. Like I was literally trying to get people to like photo shoot and stuff like that. That way we had extra photos for our site. And I didn't think much of it because of that. And I know Parker didn't either when he took that photo. And that's the biggest. Like
Yes,
he
no,
literally walked
contrary
up
to
to me.
popular belief, I don't have it out for Jeff Lebby, and I
No.
wasn't trying to be TMZ.
No, hey, and I think you should tell people you text Levy and apologize. Did you not?
I did, and look,
Yeah.
I don't want to belabor this point because we've talked.
Yeah,
enough
no,
about
but I
it,
think it
like,
needed to be out there that you did that so that people understand that you were 16 years old when that happened. And
Yeah.
like you walked up to me, I'll never like the look on your face when you walked up to me in the like I'm sitting on the front row and you go, Brandon, and you like pull me to the side and you're like, dude, like this thing blew up. And I had to explain to you. Like people don't understand, like he didn't know and it didn't wrap around. He was 16 and he didn't understand the gravitas of the whole thing when it all took place until after the fact. So, and he's kept his mouth shut for a reason.
Yeah. And look, in the moment, the reason why Brandon probably didn't think anything of it, and why certainly I didn't think anything of it, I just figure, I'm taking a photo of a notable coaching figure, right? And obviously, yeah, there is that stigma there, but I figured, okay. And here's the other thing you have to consider is that he's Jeff Lebby's father-in-law. People understand that. He had a ticket to the game just like anybody else. And after the game is over, the families of the coaches get to go down on the field and greet the coaches, right? So he's not there in any official capacity. He's literally there as a family member of Jeff Lebby. And so in the moment, like I know who Art Briles is. I know who I know what he was associated with at Baylor. Again, and I mentioned this on the postgame podcast. In my head, that was more of a Baylor thing than an Art Briles thing, which, like, obviously there is an element of inaccuracy to that perspective, evidently, but I figured, okay, well, he's there as a family member. Like this isn't going to, at no point did I realize, oh, this is going to become the biggest story in the Oklahoma media for the next 3 days. So it is what it is. Thankfully it's over with. We put a bow on it on Monday with Levy's press conference. And yeah, I was glad that blew over quickly. We didn't get a question to Brent Venables about it on Tuesday.
That was awesome, by the way.
Well done all around to the Oklahoma media for just letting that one lie.
Yep. Anyways, I wanted to get that out there because we didn't talk about it on the live, and that needed to be said in your defense on that. And I said it in our OU Insider chat too. I was like, guys, like he didn't know. He didn't know. You're talking about, again, people have to understand your age. And I think people just tend to forget that you're not in your 30s. So like all that happened when you were middle school, high school. So like to understand how big of a deal it was at the time, you're living your life as a high school kid, just, in the world of La La Land, like most high schoolers.
I wasn't perusing the Hamilton report at that point in my life, So
So
it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Now that that's out of the way, and I think that we needed to get that out of the way on this one, because I did have some people ask me if you were going to address it. So, quarterback situation at Tulsa. It seems like they're playing two guys quite a bit. It looks like Roman Fuller and Cardell Williams have rotated. Game one, Cardell Williams went off against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I believe he had 250 plus yards passing. Looked really good. Struggled against Washington. They put in Roman Fuller. He went 12 for 18 for 85 yards. And that is my phone for the second time of telemarketers calling. He went 12 for 18 for like 85 yards and a touchdown. Do we know who we're going to see as the starting quarterback for Tulsa, or is this something that is still in limbo going into this game? Because I don't know. I literally, I have not paid attention to Tulsa all that much this year. Guilty as charged.
So their quarterback situation, they've got 3 guys that they played this year, right? Like Braylon Braxton was their starter coming in. He's big bodied. He's, kind of prototypical size. He can move. He can move
Has
the
he been in
pocket.
college for like 12 years?
He's been in college for a minute, but it's the thing was he came in against University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, started 1 for 4 with 2 interceptions. He was underthrowing the ball. He was getting undercut super easy. They had a lot of confidence going into this year simply because of him. They thought, okay, he's got the opportunity to rise to like all conference level, everything like that. Well, again, first game of the year, starts 1 for 4, throws 2 interceptions. He had the elusive 0.0 QBR. You know how hard it is to have a 0.0 QBR if you start a football game? Very difficult, but Braylon Braxton was able to achieve that feat. Cardell Williams then came in and made mincemeat of the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff defense, as they should. I mean, Tulsa's not a supremely talented team yet, but they should beat University of Arkansas Pine Bluff as badly as they did. With Roman Fuller, he's third string at Tulsa. I don't expect, if they do play him, it's going to be as vanilla as possible. That's one thing with the quarterback situation. Like, you didn't have the depth last year to even deploy a quarterback against Texas. Tulsa, with their depth, they can't go 3 deep. It's just as simple as that. Cardell is the one that kind of worries me the most because he moves nicely. He's the redshirt freshman, moves nicely, throws the ball downfield well, willing to take shots. And he's willing to move the pocket. Like, he gets outside and still keeps his eyes downfield a decent amount. So he was able to have some success there, but he's got a bruised hand. They're not sure whether or not they want him to go either. So it's Braylon Braxton injury. And some of this could be gamesmanship on Kevin Wilson's side. This could be him saying, look, we have no idea who's going to play, which is
Rob Stoops
what he's
all over
supposed
again.
What he's supposed to say. So Braylon Braxton, they're monitoring that. He's listed as number 1 on the weekly depth chart. They've been doing weekly depth charts. So number 1 on the depth chart, Cardell Williams is number 2 on the depth chart. But again, Cardell's got the bruised hand. They say that he's in better health than Braylon is. So we'll see. And I'll be saying Braylon a lot, I imagine. I need to say their last names too, because I guarantee you I'm going to be talking about Braylon Presley. So when I'm right now, the quarterback conversation is Braylon Braxton. So again, injuries. But one thing about Kevin Wilson is he's a former offensive lineman. He played at University of North Carolina, guard and center as a walk-on. He earned a scholarship in his 3rd year there. He went on to coach 5 different places with some type of offensive line involvement, whether that was a straight offensive line coach or offensive coordinator / offensive line coach, something like that. In his pregame kind of interview, he talked about that, right? Like in his pregame availability this week, he talked about, look, we're going to be as aggressive as we can block. He's like, we don't want to put our quarterbacks in a bad position or our defense in a bad position by trying to do things outside of our ability to block. Now, the right side of their line, not very good. Left side of their line, much better. But right side of their line is going to have a ton of trouble this week. What is it? Daryl Simpson, the former
former Oklahoma offensive tackle. Yeah.
And
I believe
right
they're
there,
starting right tackle. And if you couldn't, and this sounds mean, but we're talking football here. If you couldn't get on the field at Oklahoma, like couldn't even sniff the field at Oklahoma, and you are now the starting right tackle against Oklahoma, I mean, it didn't work out. It feels like in the portal, you get in these situations where it was Corey Roberson last week, and now it's Simpson this week, and it is what it is. But the funniest thing was he was asked by a member of the Tulsa media that I actually do like a lot, so I'm not going to name him, but he was asked in pregame availability this week about what the departure of Lincoln Riley was like. And I was like, dude, this was 18 months ago, man. Like, everybody's moved on. Like, stop. Well, not everybody apparently, but
little did we know.
Yeah, little did we know. So like that's what's interesting is like he's doing pregame media availability. Obviously, his ties to OU, they probably selected him for that. But again, right side of the line is going to struggle, and Kevin Wilson's only going to call plays that puts his offensive line in a decent enough spot So this could be a lot of like no dropbacks at all. This could be quick out, because he doesn't want to get. I mean, imagine going into conference play and all three of your starting quarterbacks are hurt, or all three of your quarterbacks that you play are hurt because Braylon Braxton's hurt. Again, Cardell Williams got that hand. If you want to put Roman back there and let R. Mason Thomas and Ethan Downs and Rondell Bothroyd and all these guys just tee off on him all night or all day, all afternoon, like you might be going into.
They haven't got to the quarterback all season except for twice. So, I mean, your odds are in your favor.
Right. Well, I hate that argument, but
he's being sarcastic, by the way.
I am totally being sarcastic. I'm being a fan right now.
Right.
Well, they've only got 2 sacks, Travis.
Hey, yeah.
No, I say that jokingly, and I know fans get mad when I make jokes about fans and stuff like that. But the point is that our board, you've read our board. Parker, you've read our board too. There have been people like, there's only 2 sacks this year. They're not taking into account the fact that okay, I do want to ask this. Do you think they're going to max protect the way that SMU did for a lot of the game? Yeah, where they held back 6 guys and they were only running 3 routes, allowing Stone to run around. And then if the running back, obviously, they didn't run a lot of their tight end stuff. SMU didn't, and they would just slip out the running back and then run 3 wides and stuff like that. So they were trying to do all they could to max protect, essentially.
And again, people who complain about the sack totals are people who don't actually watch the games, because anybody who's watched the games knows that Oklahoma has actually gotten after the quarterback pretty effectively through 2 weeks. However, I think you're spot on, Brandon, because Kevin Wilson knows Brent Venables, right?
Yeah.
Like much has been made of the fact that those two go back 2+ decades. And so when you are as familiar with the opposing coach as Kevin Wilson is, and you're cognizant of the fact, as he is, that your team is overmatched from a talent standpoint, then no, you're not going to allow your quarterback to take 5-step drops on every single snap and get buried by Trace Ford and R. Mason Thomas. That's just not going to happen. Kevin Wilson and Tulsa are going to do whatever they can to mitigate the amount of pressure that their quarterbacks, whoever it is that they trot out there under center, they're going to do their best to mitigate the amount of pressure that quarterback faces. And there are a myriad of different ways to do that. You can max protect. You can intentionally scheme your game plan around plays that are going to get the ball out of your quarterback's hands quickly. But all in all, I don't think Oklahoma is going to walk into there in Chapman Stadium on Saturday and sack the quarterback 10 times, because I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to. That doesn't mean they won't be getting pressure, but they're not going to have 10 sacks.
Here's, I guess the big question is this season, as far as sacks go, is Tulsa, I meant Texas this time. Is Texas going to be the first game that you don't see max protect, or it will be Cincinnati? Because I guarantee you Iowa State's going to do it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
sure.
can go ahead and log them down as 6-7 guys into block and running minimal routes with their tight ends and leaving their backs in and letting their tight ends slip out and all that type of stuff. Cincinnati and Texas, those are your 2 options for the first time Oklahoma doesn't see max protect for a good portion of the game. It has to be Texas, right? Because I can't imagine Cincinnati, once Emory Jones is inaccurate as he has been this season, to be rushed even more. That said, he is going to be the most athletic quarterback Oklahoma plays up to that point in the first 6 games. Emory Jones being at Cincinnati. Outside of maybe Braylon Braxton. Braylon Braxton's a super athlete. He just doesn't have any confidence right now. And you watch what's going to happen, guys. You watch what's going to happen. And we're sitting here dogging on Braylon Braxton. He's got this injury in air quotes if you're listening to us on audio, and you see it if you're on YouTube. And he's going to come out and he's going to run for like 130 yards against Oklahoma after he gets, pushed out of the pocket. And it's going to be one of those games where you remember the knock on Venables when the Russian quarterback first came to light, right? They could not contain a running quarterback. Everybody's going, here we go again. Here we go. He's not containing the quarterback. Those are your two options. It's boom or bust on Saturday for Tulsa. Boom or bust. There is no in between, guys.
I can't imagine Braylon Braxton's going to run. He's got a bum ankle. If this were like a, I don't know, rib injury,
okay, Cordell or
something
whoever,
like that, like then they
rushes.
might say like, okay, could, but like, I don't think. Again, the way Kevin Wilson talked about it in his press availability was, look, like he's just kind of call it to keep his players safe, ready for conference play. He understands he's trying to build something. I think he understands that nobody expects him to go out there and beat Oklahoma, but they're expected to beat some of these other teams just from the fan base because this is his new team. He's the hot shot coordinator, that's got one of the best offensive minds of the last 20 years, probably, when you look at where he's been and what he's done. So it's
he did a good job at Indiana too.
Right. I honestly don't think he's going to get in here and risk injury to Braylon, who probably gives him the best chance to win in the American. And we'll see about Cardell with his hand. If he catches it on a helmet, on a follow through or something like that, there's no way he's going back in. So, like I said, I think you see conservative. I think you either see quick passes or a lot of runs or stuff to the outside. Like, don't be shocked if you see a lot of tunnel screens or something like that, something jet sweeps, trying to get something away from those edges and maybe get a guy like Brennan Presley the ball in space with a couple blockers on the outside. Like, I see that happening far more than I see a quarterback, design quarterback runs or anything like that, or big dropbacks to where they're going to let those defensive ends tee off.
So Braylon Presley, let's talk about this kid. Travis, obviously you and I are decently close with the kid. I've known him and his family for a long, long time. Great kid, great family. After his freshman year at Oklahoma State, there was nobody that wanted to be an Oklahoma Sooner more than Braylon Presley. This game means something to him. I mean, he wanted it bad. Trevor, you can dive into it more than I can because I'm not going to go into it. You can. But you and I both have had similar conversations with him on multiple occasions. He was pretty disappointed when Oklahoma decided they weren't going to offer him because they got close to offering him and bringing him in. And I can't remember the reasoning why. It became a numbers game, obviously. And Oklahoma was going through a transition at wide receiver coach. And that's essentially what they wanted him as, was a slot, a guy that could come in and be kind of a jitterbug for him in the screen game, a guy that could be a return guy for him, all of the above. And between the wide receiver coach movement and a numbers issue, he'd end up getting that offer that he wanted so badly. Can you imagine how bad he wants to just have such a good game this weekend against them? Like, it's going to mean something to him. Not because his brother plays for Oklahoma State. This is more for him personally. Do you agree with that, Travis?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's going to be massive for him. I wonder if it'll be up to him. Like that. That's the problem. It's like, all right. So last week he led the team in receiving. I think he had 3 for 54 with like a 32 or 36 yarder. Like their only option, probably for anything deep right now, is trying to get him isolated and just let that track speed go. So I think there's a situation where he's not a he's not like a vengeful kid. Like he's not
No, but
like this isn't like, oh, they disrespected me by not offering me. I'm gonna, do this. Like he just wants to prove to them that they're missing out. And yes, he's had this game circled. He's told me as much right when he transferred. So right when the schedule came out. So anyways, but that's the thing is how much will it be up to him to show how personal it is? Because again, you got to get the ball to him. He's got to get outside, some defenders that are elite dudes themselves. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully a Gentry Williams and Braylon Presley matchup, seeming as though those two grew up together, ran track together, would have played football together had the families not moved. But I mean, those kids played again, young together. They know each other extremely well. So I'm interested in some matchups like that. I know a lot of people that are in the stands that day that are in the Tulsa area are very familiar with the 918 kind of prep scene, are going to be looking forward to that matchup. But yeah, I mean, they don't have a ton of skill talent anyways yet. When you talk about P5 transfers that came in, he's kind of the gem that they got. Obviously Keywan Parker on the defensive side coming back to the 918. He also played at Booker T. He was at Arkansas. He's a defensive back. He's going to be one of their better players out on the back end. Obviously they bring in Simpson from OU, but again, not a skill position guy and not a guy that was really seeing any time at Oklahoma. But yeah, it's if they're going to have explosive plays in the offense, it's going to be through Presley. It's the only question is, will they have explosive plays? I tend to think that they probably won't. Because keep in mind, Brent Venables, he's going to let them be on islands outside, and he's just going to bring blitzes up the middle. I mean, I feel like you're going to see a bunch of pressure on the inside, especially if Braylon plays. He's got a bum ankle. Let's try and make him run on it. It's like, hey, like
you're talking about Braxton right now, just so everybody's clear.
Yeah, Braylon Braxton got the ankle. I think we're going to see a ton of pressure up the middle on that interior from Brent Venables this week.
Mm-hmm. Well, the both of Kevin Wilson and Brent Venables know each other's play styles. Like they understand the play call styles. They understand their tendencies. And I think that is going to be the fun part about this is watching them do this little chess match. The difference is that Brent Venables has the Joes, the Jimmies and the Joes, compared to, maybe Kevin Wilson's ability to X and O's him. And you're always going to take the Jimmies and Joes over the X's and the O's. And that's not to say Brent Venables, obviously he knows the X's and the O's part of it too. He's got the combined version of it, I guess is the better way to say it. And that's what's going to make this a very lopsided game, I would imagine. But it's always good for Oklahoma to get up to Tulsa and play in front of the 918, particularly when you're recruiting the 918 so hard. I think it should be an annual event if you're Oklahoma. If you're smart, you make the OU Tulsa an annual game. If Oklahoma State wants to chicken shit their way out of it, and I'm sorry for saying that, but that's what they're doing. They're the ones that don't want to do the bedlam. I mean, come on, let's call it what it is, guys.
Oh boy, Mike Gundy's going to hear this podcast, and we're going to get
care.
another. That's not true.
That's not true. I'm a man.
Get your facts straight.
No, I will say this: his brother Kale has done a really good job entering the media light. And he's always been really good to me. So, but I do think that, and I don't think Mike Gundy has complete control over the situation at Oklahoma State. I think he has some say, and maybe even half the say, but he doesn't have complete say whether they're going to play that game or not. This goes through the boosters. This goes through obviously the president, the AD. They all have a feeling towards this, and Mike Gundy's going to go out and he's said some things, obviously, and made a point that Oklahoma's the one ending the game by leaving the conference. No, bro. No. You ended it by not wanting. Oklahoma's come out and said, we'll play you still. We have the hardest schedule in America next year, and we'll still play you. And they're like, nope, nope, nope. We're good. We're good. And because it makes them feel like they're the ones that are in control of Bedlam. And I guess to an extent they are, right? Like, because they're the ones that have nixed it essentially for out of conference play. But if you're not going to play that game, let's play Tulsa. Let's have an in-state game. And if you really want to see your ability to shut out Oklahoma State in the 918 and Arkansas in the 918, go play there every other year. Go play there every other year. Make it a point that, hey, we come here and play in front of your family. They don't have to drive 2 hours to come watch you play every Saturday.
I think Oklahoma State just scheduled TU out like 15 years.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think that's why they say they can't play OU is because they just inked like a 10 to 15 year deal.
When
with
did that
University
happen? Maybe I don't pay attention to Oklahoma State enough.
sometime in the last year.
Yeah, see, I forgot all about that. That's
Yeah,
where my head's
yeah,
at.
they've
Okay, well then
scheduled.
my rant feels really stupid at this point.
That's why I jumped in. Usually I'll let you spin, but that's why I jumped in because I
Well,
believe
that sucks.
OSU is.
I still, if you're look, why doesn't Tulsa just play 2 of their non-con games, the in-state guys?
Well, I think there's probably a balance between getting
You're playing
the
Washington and Oklahoma in the same season, bro.
right, but I don't expect them to always have a top 10 team on their schedule. And Oklahoma, who when they made the schedule, a lot of people probably thought they'd be up there as they usually are anyways. I don't see Tulsa going forward being like, okay, we need to play 2 top 10 teams this year, 2 top 15 teams this year, 2 top whatever teams this year.
Yeah, you're giving Oklahoma State too much credit here really lately, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But to my point, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, okay. Because also, I mean, they're trying to recruit their players too. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they appreciate the brand awareness and everything like that. And Kevin Wilson said as much in his pregame press conference, said, look, we appreciate Joe Castiglione for wanting to play here. It builds our brand. We're trying to increase enrollment. Tulsa's got the lowest enrollment of all FBS schools. So they're trying to increase that enrollment. This is a good way to do it.
I'm not trying to interrupt you here, but I have their future non-cons in front of me right now. So 2023, Tulsa plays obviously Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Washington, Oklahoma, Northern Illinois. 2024, Northwestern State. Are they playing a Division II team? Is that what we're? Oh no, Northwestern State.
Yeah,
they're playing
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sitting here thinking, literally Alva, Oklahoma. Yeah, like what? Well, they do it in basketball too. So, and I have seen them people schedule those type of games before just for money. Northwestern State, Arkansas State, Oklahoma State, at Louisiana Tech. That's meh. Oklahoma State, Army, Louisiana Tech in 25. Here's where it starts to get interesting though. 2026, Oklahoma State, Sam Houston, Army, Arkansas. So you've scheduled 2 similar teams. Obviously, Oklahoma is better than both those programs, but my point is that Arkansas is trying to get into this Tulsa game as well because they want to continue to recruit the 918 more with Oklahoma coming into the SEC. Arkansas, Texas Southern, Oklahoma State, Army in 2027. That's 3 decent teams. Oklahoma State, Army, Louisiana in 2028. And they're playing Army a lot. Then 29.
Similar size enrollment.
Right. Or Arkansas, Toledo, Oklahoma State in 29. Then Oklahoma finally gets them in 2030 and 2033. So they won't play Oklahoma again for nearly another 7 years, 7 seasons. So it looks like Oklahoma State has them scheduled for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight years, as you said. Not quite 15, but 8 straight seasons.
Well, I think it was 15 years out, I think is what I was kind of 10 to 15
No,
years.
they don't have so the 2032 and 2033, the only scheduled games is Missouri State in 2032 and Oklahoma in 2033.
Huh, interesting.
They have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in 2030 again. And that's my point. Why not? If you're going to do it there, why wouldn't you have just done it? You know what I mean? Every year. If you're going to do it 4 of the 10 years, what's another 6 seasons? Does that make sense? Like, what does it matter at that point?
No, I get it. I get it.
So I don't know. I think if you're Oklahoma, you want that game because it puts you in the limelight. Because like Gentry, I think he has like 40 guys, 40 family members, according to people around him that I've talked to, going to that game on Saturday. Like it's a big deal to that family.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean,
right down the
just
street.
in general, the Booker T between him and Kewan Parker, they're going to be
Right.
I mean, you will have a ton of black and orange in the stands, I imagine. I'm not talking about the Oklahoma State black and orange. So I think you'll have a lot of Booker T people there because it's
a lot of Union too.
Yeah, but it's obviously with Gentry and Kewan being two of the big pieces out there. I mean, it's going to be a big deal, absolutely. But speaking of the other pieces out there, I want to know. I want both of your guys' opinion on this. What is the pecking order of carries this game, do you think, for Oklahoma's running backs?
That's a great question. I'll bet you they don't. And we'll see more of Barnes and Sawchuk. I'd be willing to bet that.
Quite a bit more from what I'm hearing.
Really? I was going to say, I bet you we'll see more. I bet we don't see a ton. Like I think if I had to place bets on who gets the most carries, I would say it's probably Tawi Walker again.
Yeah,
if you're riding with the hot hand, as Jeff Lebby has said, well, it's pretty objectively indisputable right now that Tawi Walker is the one with the hot hand. So Barnes and Sawchuk are going to combine for more than the 9 snaps that they saw last week. But I bet you the majority of the carries still go to Tawi Walker based on what he did last week.
What if I told you I'm gonna bold predict this, and I'm gonna talk about the cheetah position real quick.
Okay.
All right, bold prediction. Sawchuk has a 60+ yard run.
Ooh. Clip it. Mark this moment.
Yep.
If Gavin Sawchuk has a run of over 60 yards, Brandon,
now watch he doesn't play.
A victory lap.
But are we going to include? Is it a 60-yard run or is it a 60-yard play?
Run, play, catch, doesn't matter.
Because even if it's like a push pass or
yeah,
something like
if it's a pop screen, I don't care. Like a swing pass, it doesn't matter to me. Like he's going to make a big play. Now that I said that, watch him not play. Just would be right on the nose for everything. As far as, and don't clip this, because I don't want this out there to everything, but I'm going to let everybody know that I think Peyton Bowen's going to be your starting cheetah.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense with obviously,
and I think you'll see. Sorry, Travis, wouldn't finish there for a second, and I think you'll see. Oh my gosh, Kip Lewis play some cheetah. I don't think you'll see. Okay, I'm not gonna say he's not gonna play, but Sammy Omosigho, I was told, still picking some things up, still trying to gather the mental side of the game a little bit. Still trying to grasp the defense and the complexities of it in that position in particular a little bit. So I'm not going to sit here and say you're not going to see him because you might. But I think Kip Lewis, Kendall Dolby, Peyton Bowen and Reggie Pearson will probably get quite a bit of looks at Cheetah. And I imagine you'll see more Peyton than anybody else if he stays healthy and nothing happens to him. As long as it's a game, I expect, and even maybe it not being a game. I don't know how long Deshaun McCullough, and I think they're trying to build depth up with Justin Harrington potentially being out for an extended period of time with his knee issue. I don't know. People are worried about his knee. I'll say that. Just from previous issues that he had. I mean, he came into Oklahoma, right, with a partially torn ACL and ended up tearing it completely because he didn't say anything to anybody through the whenever he came in and did like the whenever they checked in on him and all that type of stuff. And so, this time around, I think they're being a little bit more cautious. I think Iowa State or Tulsa will be Iowa State or Texas will be the I don't know why I keep doing that. Will be the two games that you might see him back. If you don't see him back by Texas, there's more to it than just partially torn whatever he has in his knee. So yeah, I keep hearing Peyton Bowen's getting a lot of looks at Cheetah. And I keep hearing that there's a chance he may start. And that it's all dependent on obviously Deshaun McCullough and his availability. But even Venables was very, very hopeful. I guess they're trying to get him back for this game. We'll see. And we're talking about Deshaun McCullough. Go ahead, Travis.
I mean, I was going to touch on, when you said the Peyton Bowen stuff, I was just going to touch on the injuries a little bit. You went into it, but I mean, Peyton Bowen had 49 snaps last week. I mean, the defense only played 84. And when you look at outside of Woody Washington, you typically, I mean, if you look at like week one, I think, or through 3 games last year, I think the highest snap count for a defender was Danny Stutzman at 70.4% of the snaps or something like that. So if you're looking at the absolute highest through 3 games last year being 70%, well, if
you're talking about last week?
No, I'm saying last year. So last year through 3 games, Danny Stutzman played the highest percentage of defensive snaps on the team at 70.4%. Mm-hmm. So if you look at that and say, oh man, the most that anybody's playing outside of, like I said, Woody this last week played 82 of 84. With this, it's like, okay, he was already playing 49 snaps out of 84 possible, Peyton Bowen last week on the defense. I mean, what does he get to this week? 65?
65,
70?
probably.
I mean,
I think 60, 65 is a good. I think 11, 12 more snaps. Probably 10, 15, I guess. So yeah, maybe 65.
He's also playing special teams, obviously.
Yeah.
With the pump block. With also, you brought up Sammy Amasigo. Makes a lot of sense because I mean, they're getting him on the field on teams. And he was the one, obviously, that had the key block for Gavin Freeman and then walked him into the end zone. The athleticism is there. Like his body's ready. He's just got to get his mind around. And that's what makes Peyton Bowen so fascinating is, he seems to understand the defense quite easily. And that football IQ is very high.
Yeah, that was one thing that Ted Roof remarked on Monday in his press conference. And it's something that we've talked about is stuff just comes easy to Peyton Bowen. And that's, I mean, if you could categorize, if you could describe his play, the entire style in which he carries himself on the football field in one word, it's probably that. Like he looks like he's not even trying at times. Like it's effortless. And it's really special to watch because you know that he's just going to continue to get better and better and better as he develops on the cognitive side more so than anything else. Venables said it Saturday night. He said he doesn't know what he doesn't know yet. He's just out there playing ball. And so when that's what a freewheeling Peyton Bowen looks like, when that's how impactful he can be with what we saw Saturday against SMU, man, it just speaks to how high of a ceiling that kid has, even as a true freshman within this Oklahoma defensive scheme.
Yeah, and I guess to wrap this thing up real quick, he didn't grade out the greatest because he plays off of instinct. Talking Peyton, it is like even the punt block, he was in the wrong place and just happened to make up for it. And then like there's a couple plays that he made last week where he just kind of went rogue and did his own thing and made a big play. And so I was told you live with that with him because he makes up for it. Now it's a boom or bust. Sometimes he's going to make plays. Sometimes it's going to cost you a first down on a 3rd and 15, but other times it's going to cost you, it's going to get you an interception, or he's going to cause a fumble, or he's going to really screw things up and force just such an errant pass that somebody else makes a play on the ball. Like there's so many things that he does that makes up for his lack of not knowing what he doesn't know right now. And I was told that getting him in at Cheetah is going to help Oklahoma in the long run, because obviously you don't expect Billy Bowman to come back next year. Like, I don't think anybody does, right? I think that's the consensus, is he's probably going to go to the NFL. And if he does come back, more power to Oklahoma. They have more depth. Now you have a lot of pieces you can move around, because Peyton Bowen got a lot of reps his freshman year. So the more reps he gets, the better he's going to be, the more he's going to understand what's going on in the defense, the better he'll be in the long term as Oklahoma moves into the SEC. And I think that's the end game with all of this. All right, real quickly, we're going to wrap this thing up. Parker, what's your prediction? Travis, what's your prediction for this weekend score? And I'll give mine, and then we'll give the spiel at the end and wrap this up.
Parker, go ahead.
I'll go with Oklahoma 62-17. Made the same prediction on the live last night. It's what I'll stick with. I expect Oklahoma to move the ball offensively at will. And I think Tulsa mounts a couple scoring drives, especially once the second teamers get on the field. But at no point should the outcome of this game be in doubt. I think Oklahoma pours it on early.
I'm going to go 42-10, which would be above our defense's typical 5.5 points a game they've been giving up, but still only one touchdown. I just feel like you can employ literally the exact same strategy last week and get the result of 42-10. And our depth is better. TU simply doesn't have it. They're already a little bit banged up. Like I said, I've belabored the point about the quarterback position. I think they're going to kind of pack it in if things get a little rough. So I actually have more faith, kind of like Brandon. Remember last week you said if it's close late against SMU, then it's going to be close right until the end. I said not so fast. That depth, we're going to stretch it out. I think something similar happens this time. I think Tulsa's only chance is to get their starters to hit on some big plays. I don't have any confidence that will happen. I think that our depth late, especially get a Jackson Arnold in there, throwing to Jaden Gibson and Nick Anderson and Jaquays Petaway and get some of our younger, the Caden Greens of the world in there and Jake Taylors and give them some run. And our defense, I mean, you're going to get to their, third and fourth stringers, and we're bringing in the pass rush win rate leader through 2 games, PJ Adebare off the bench. You're bringing in Jaden Rowe. You're bringing in these kind of guys. You're bringing in Lewis Carter and Sammy. You're bringing in guys that TU's not going to see the rest of the year physically, and they're having to go against TU's third and fourth string, and their quarterback is going to, again, they're already deficient because of injuries in that respect. So 42-10. I think the spread's 27.5. So another cover, a close cover, but still a cover.
Yeah, I think I have 55-13 was my score. I can't remember what it was last night, but it was somewhere around there. And I'm going to stick with that. And obviously Oklahoma scoring in the 50s. I think I may have been 52-13 or 56-13. I can't remember. But I'm going to go 55-13 here. I think Oklahoma jumps on them early. And I think a lot of the second half, you see Jackson Arnold. And I think that's, again, great for Oklahoma. I hope you see Jake Sexton if he's cleared to go. I don't know if he's cleared yet 100% for contact, but I hope you do, because I think you got to get him going. You got to get the reps going, because you're going to need him this year, next year, and the years beyond, because that's your starting tackle going into the
Do you
SEC.
think a world exists this year, both of you? A world exists this year that by the end of the year, Walter Rouse, Jake Sexton, and Tyler Guyton are all starting on the same line?
That's so Bill Bedenbaugh, so I can't throw that out. Like, that's very,
That is true.
very
Isn't
on
it?
the nose.
Bill shakes things up.
Yeah. So
Is there a world?
there's a world. Yeah. Yeah. You'd have to move Walter Rouse in, because I don't think you can move. Well, I guess Jake coming off the knee injury, guard might be a good place, but can he pull for the GT? I think that's that. I don't know. Great question. Anyways, yeah. 55-13. And again, Oklahoma covers. I think you see Jackson Arnold. I think you see some big plays from several of the freshmen. I think Austin Stogner scores his first touchdown of the year. And I think this is the first game you see Oklahoma have 3 sacks. I'm calling it. They have 3 sacks, and they forced 2 turnovers. So, all right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor pregame podcast. If you're not a member of OU Insider, you need to get there now. OU Insider 30 is the promo code you use when you go sign up. Because guess what? We're giving away OU Texas tickets again next week. And the only way to enter for those is to sign up for OU Insider. Our drawing for the first pair is today. Our drawing for the second pair is next week. We're going to give away a pair of OU Tulsa tickets as well this week. So doing a lot of giveaways. We've already, I think we will have given away almost 30 members will have gotten a pair of tickets by the end of this week, or by the end of next week, excuse me. So I think it'll be like 28 total members in 3 weeks will have gotten a ticket to a game, whether OU Texas, Arkansas State, SMU, or Tulsa. Like, I think that's huge. It's huge, and that shows our appreciation for you guys. We will also be, and stay on the lookout for this, we're working in a tailgate for Iowa State. Members are starting it. I want to thank our guy. Oh my gosh, I went blank. Parker, help me out here.
Russell Jenkins.
Russell Jenkins. I want to say Leroy. Every time I hear that, I want to say Leroy Jenkins for some odd reason. So Russell Jenkins is leading the charge here. Him and his company are helping OU Insider. And we're going to hopefully have a tailgate, if not by Iowa State, the next home game following Texas. So one way or the other, be on the lookout for that. We'll have more information over the weeks to come and tell you where we're going to be, how you can be involved, all that. It's going to be potentially, get the OU Insider community together, those that are VIP members, all that type of stuff. If you are, it'll be really cool. Free food, bring your own drinks, probably free Olipop. We'll have maybe some Dr. Pepper, all that type of stuff, the bad stuff for you as well there. Maybe some beer, free beer every now and then, free alcohol, free TV, free football, all that. We'll have it for you in our tailgate. It's going to be an awesome scene, and you get to hang out with all of us, potentially Travis, myself, Parker, Jesse, Brian. Like, all of us will be there on hand at one point or the other for you to hang out, talk to, meet, greet, all that, as we build the OU Insider community up one brick at a time. All right. Again, sign up for our subscribe to this YouTube channel, give 5 stars on our podcast, whatever platform you listen to. And again, go sign up for OU Insider if you want OU Texas tickets, or be on top of all VIP, insider, team recruiting news that you want as far as when it comes to the Oklahoma Sooners. All right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor pregame podcast. For Parker Thune, for Travis Davidson, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.